I'm Max Pringle with these headlines. The deadline to avoid a federal government shutdown is 10 days away, and House Republicans are still deadlocked on spending bills to temporarily fund the government. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is struggling with a leadership crisis over things like funding for more Ukraine aid. Sagar Magani reports.
McCarthy has 10 days left to get a temporary funding bill passed.
It's not September 30th. The game is not over.
And he's not giving up.
I don't know if any of you ever played sports. Did you quit before the game was over?
But McCarthy has no clear strategy and no sure support, with hardline conservatives holding out in the Senate.
The answer for avoiding a shutdown is right in front of Speaker McCarthy, and he knows it.
Democratic leader Chuck Schumer says McCarthy must give up trying for a GOP-only solution and work across the aisle. Some House Republicans are doing just that on their own. Sagar Magani, Washington.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is in Washington, D.C. today for meetings with President Biden and U.S. senators. He's expected to make the case for continued American support for Ukraine in its effort to drive out Russian invasion forces. Feature Story News' Tony Waterman reports.
According to the White House, Zelensky will meet with key lawmakers on Capitol Hill and officials at the Pentagon before having a sit-down with President Biden in the afternoon. Reuters is reporting that Biden plans to announce another $325 million in military aid for Ukraine. But continued support isn't guaranteed. A CNN poll last month found that the majority of Americans do not want Congress to authorize additional funding for Ukraine. And some far-right Republicans are threatening a government shutdown over additional funding proposals.
And that's Tony Waterman reporting. The United Auto Workers strike against the big three Detroit automakers enters its sixth day today. General Motors and Stellantis have announced they're temporarily laying off thousands of union workers due to the strike, while the UAW says it may expand the strike to more assembly plants. Rita Foley has more.
The striking auto workers union has a warning for automakers. We're not messing around, says Sean Fain, the head of the United Auto Workers, who has this pointed message for the big three Detroit automakers.
If we don't make serious progress by noon on Friday, September 22nd, more locals will be called on to stand up and join the strike. That will mark more than a week since our first members walked out.
Right now, the limited strike is targeting plants in Missouri, Michigan, and Ohio. Automakers say they're trying to make progress. President Biden is sending two top administration officials to Detroit to meet with both sides. Treasury Secretary Yellen is hoping for a quick resolution, but says it's too soon to gauge the strike's impact on the economy. I'm Rita Foley.
Voting rights advocates in Connecticut are calling on Governor Ned Lamont to authorize the purchase of updated voting machines ahead of next year's elections. They say the state's aging tabulators are less reliable. Alex Gonzalez reports.
At least 6 states are looking at banning voting tabulation machines, but not Connecticut. In fact, advocates want Governor Ned Lamont to replace outdated scanners with new, more reliable machines. John Erlinghauser with AARP Connecticut says the current models can jam, meeting lines on Election Day and pressure on poll workers.
They don't manufacture them anymore. They break down frequently. People are having to get replacement parts for the voting machines on things like eBay.
Automatic tabulators are faster and more accurate than hand counts. The nonpartisan Make Elections Fair committee is pushing to amend Arizona's constitution. Their initiative would end partisan primaries, making them open to all candidates and voters. And it would give voters the chance to select more than one candidate, possibly having that choice influence who makes it to the general election. Committee Chair Sarah Smallhouse says the current system is unfair to independent or unaffiliated candidates and voters who are the state's largest single bloc.
It's fundamentally a question of fairness, of giving everyone equal opportunity to participate in our political system.
I'm Alex Gonzalez for Pacifica Network and Public News Service.
And I'm Max Pringle. You're listening to Sojourner Truth on Pacifica Radio.